Hello and welcome back to another good old fat. Did I forget my own intro? Just I fucking blanked to my own intro. Hello and welcome back to good old fat. Another episode of good old. Welcome back to good old fashioned moronic. I don't even remember my own. Fuck it. I'm the O.M.G. We're continuing Everlasting Summer. Hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. And if you haven't seen the first episode, there's a link in the description to the first episode. And there will be a playlist also in the description of any episodes. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Watch to the very end. It helps a lot. Leave a like if you enjoy, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let's get back into it. All right, so I rushed to the left and then to the right and then stopped hesitating. Blah, 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 blah. I went to the direction that the thing probably came. We're back. All right. Ellipses. So like last episode, also real quick recap for last episode. Last episode, we were in a winter land. It was winter, now it's summer, and we're like somewhere else on a different bus and blah, blah, blah. Shit. Physical exercise does refresh one's mind, though thoughts become clearer, and it gets a little easier to evaluate the surrounding reality. Not in my case, however. I was sitting on the roadside, wheezing and trying to ease my sore throat by gulping breaths of hot air. Again, mood. This man hits some moods here and there. In any case, the run did its job. The fear withdrew for a while. Maybe I really am just dreaming. Though recalling my self-harm on the bus, I immediately rejected that idea. I am neither dreaming nor dead. A narrow road ran through the fields and far into the distance. That exact same road from my dreams. I must be very far away from home. And it's not just that it was winter yesterday and it's summer now. It's the whole environment. Of course summer is usually like this, green and hot, but here everything is not entirely lifelike. Everything looks like it was taken from a painting of Russian landscape artists of the 19th century. The grass is just too lush. The bushes are not like what bushes should be. They are so thick that you can't see anything through them. Like treetops, honestly. And the trees themselves. The forest was quite far away, but the trees looked as if they had closed their ranks and were now just waiting for the order to advance onto the fields and plains. Again, this man tries to be way too he gets too artsy with his words, is what I'm trying to say. I caught my breath and looked at the bus, which was now barely visible. That was a good run. Fear overtook me once again. Those power lines. There must be people here. But what does it mean? In fact, that means nothing at all. Couldn't they have power lines even in hell? I mean, that's a good question. Could they? Roasting sinners over hot coals. That's so last century. Okay. I mean, sure. I must have reached the point of no return, after which you should either lose your mind completely or finally try to understand what is going on. And while I still have a choice, I should pick the second option. I slowly headed back to the bus. Of course it was scary, but I'm not likely to find an answer in the fields of the woods. And this wretched bucket of bolts is the only kind of link that I have with the real world. Ellipses! I should carefully scout the... Hey, it's the gate from the dream! I should carefully scout the area. Oh. Sovianok means outlet. Thank you, game. Aw, that's nice of you. A brick wall and its gates crowned with a Sovianok sign statues of pioneers standing on either side, and a road sign nearby showing the bus route number 410. The trip's taking a bit too long today. The trip's taking a bit too long today. I smirked. A person may start acting inappropriately in extreme situations. Something like that is probably happening to me now. The place didn't look abandoned at all. No rust on the gates, no damage to the walls. Sylvia Knock? What could have a name like that? Judging by the pioneer statues, it could be a kid's summer camp. Moreover, it appears to be open. Of course, the simplest explanation, logically speaking, explains nothing at all. The strange girl, the altered bus, Summer, the pioneer camp. Thousands of theories went through my mind instantly, from alien abduction to lethargic sleep, from a hallucination to a time and space shift. None was worse than any other, but there was really no way to pick a single one. Then it occurred to me, I can try to make a phone call. I took out my cell phone and dialed the first number from my contact list. It did not go through. I got a no signal. But instead of a signal strength bar, the screen was showing a thick cross. All right. There may be no signal in such a remote place. Though, I cannot be the only one who came here. Though, if there is no signal, if you dial your emergency services, your phone call should go through, because just because one area does not work for one service provider, there are enough satellites from other service providers where if you need to make a phone call in case of emergencies, you can. The other companies are obligated to receive your signal and to patch you through, even if you're not a part of that service provider. Fun fact. Though I cannot be the only one who came here. Buses don't drive themselves. I examined the bus from all sides to make sure that it wasn't a hallucination. Bits of dirt on the bottom, some rust here and there, faded paint and worn-out tires. No, this is definitely a very ordinary Icarus. Yeah, exactly the kind of bus which takes you to a place beyond your understanding if you carelessly fall asleep, I guess. I gave a nervous chuckle. It came out by myself sporadically. Because this wasn't the right place or time to laugh. But where on earth is the driver? I cautiously sat down on the curb beside the bus and started to wait. Ellipses. My patience didn't last long. My anxiety seemed to have reached its peak, and I started to go slightly mad. In such a situation, anyone would have probably felt something similar. Aliens and parallel universes were gone from my imagination, leaving only void and darkness. Is this how everything will end? How my life will end? But I wanted to do so much. There were so many things that I had no time for yet. But, dude, you were fucking procrastinating a lot of shit. You said it yourself. I was overwhelmed by the idea. This was definitely the end. But why? It's not fair. Surely I'm no worse than anyone else. God, why? Blink. Tears were burning my eyes unbearably. I curled up and started rolling in the grass. Fuck. Oh, okay. Why? What did I do? Why me? But my cries were only heard by the speechless statues of the pioneers and a bird on a tree, which immediately flapped its wing and took off, crying out something in its own bird language as if laughing at the idiot who dared to interrupt its after-dinner nap. I was left breathless from weeping and just lay quietly, sobbing occasionally. Ellipses? After a while, I managed to pull myself together. My mind cleared up a bit, as if terror and the fear of death gave me a little break. All in all, if someone wanted to kill me, What is all this for? It doesn't look like an experiment either. If this is just some crazy coincidence, then there's probably no threat. Anyway, for now it seems there's no danger. The panic was soon gone. Of course, the blood was still pounding in my temples, and my hands were still shaking, but at least I could think clearly now. Right now, there's nothing I can really change anyway. So no matter how much I think or how mad I get, it would only make things worse. Until some actual facts appear, there's really no point in making guesses. In any case, I won't learn anything by lounging about here. This camp, if of course it is really a camp, looked like the only place where people could be. So I decided to go there, and hardly had I reached the gates when a girl came out from behind them. Oh, it's the blonde-haired girl, wearing a pioneer uniform. My logic didn't let me down this time. Then again, a pioneer uniform in the 21st century, and then again, a girl here. I froze, unable to take a step. I felt very much like running away. Running as far away as I could from this place. Far from the bus, gates, statues, and far from this bloody bird with its siesta. Just running free like the wind, faster and faster, waving to the planets, passing by, winkling at the galaxies, or winking at the galaxy. What, you're just gonna fucking run your way through the fucking universe? What the fuck? Running, becoming a pulsar ray and turning into vestigial radiation, running to face the unknown. The fuck you going on about now? Run no matter where, as long as it's far away from this place. Meanwhile, the girl came closer and smiled. Could not help but notice her beauty. Even though I was trembling with fear, human instincts works independent and cautiousness, and while only 5% of the brain is responsible for cognitive processes, the remaining 95% are always busy sustaining life, and in particular ensuring some stable functioning of the hormonal system. Also, that whole 5% bullshit of that you only use 5% of your brain, that's been debunked like forever ago by scientists. It's not that we don't have full access to our brains. It's just everyone's brain has like a capacity of which it can perform. It's like every human's brain has its own specs like a computer. That's really like the long and short of it. You use all your brain. So anyone who still believes that like, oh, we only use 5% of our brains, no, that's not true. I desperately wanted to get less complicated and stop thinking of formal quotes from an encyclopedia. Through my thoughts appeared one by one, being stupid, out of place, as if taken from an internal monologue of the hero of some junky softcover crime fiction book. Oh, thank God. Are you going to get less complicated with your fucking constant fucking blah 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 fucking artsy fartsy fucking word shit? Spewing some fucking nonsense constantly. Pretty Slavic face. Long braids that looked like 2 armfuls of fresh hay. And blue eyes you could drown in. It's not like a really good way to describe hair. Because if hair is like hay-like is like dry and fucking super thin, meaning that hair is not properly being taken care of. Hi, you must have just arrived. Reply. Yeah. All right then, welcome. She smiled broadly. Strange, it looked as if I had just a normal girl in front of me. Bah! I shouldn't have returned here. The woods and fields seemed better. But what shall I do next? Try to speak with her as if she was a human? Or run away or what? As if she's like... I mean, I get that he's like still running under the preconception that there's a chance he was abducted by aliens. But like, all right, whatever. The blood was pumping unbearably in my head. tearing it apart from the inside. A little bit more and the poor pioneer girl would be splattered with the gruesome contents of my skull. Can you stop? You just said that you weren't going to continue this overcomplication of fucking everything. What's so funny about that? The girl looked me over. It sent shivers down my spine and my knees started to tremble. Nothing. Great, then. Great? What's so great about that? Suddenly a thought crossed my mind. To hell with it all. Forget about the bus behind me. The fact that it was winter yesterday and summer today. I wanted to rip off my itchy sweater and just accept that all of this is actually happening. Everything is as it should be. All this is for the best. Would you happen to know? I'm still trying to figure out the voices. Give me a sec. You should go to our camp leader. She'll tell you everything. Look. You go straight ahead to the square, then turn left. You'll see several small cabins. She pointed at the gates, as if I knew what was behind them. Dmitrievna is a patronymic, a derivative of a person's father's name. In this case, Dmitri, put by Russians after the person's first name as a sign of respect or formal dress. Oh, okay. Well, you can ask someone where Olga Dmitrovna's cabin is. Got it? Of course I didn't. Well, I've got to go now. The girl waved her hand at me and disappeared through the gates. It seemed as if to her, I was something ordinary. And all this show with the bus and the travels, while awake or asleep, were troubling only to me, while everything here is just the way it is supposed to be. Camp leader, pioneer uniforms. What are they doing? A historical reenactment here? I hope I won't find Lenin standing atop an armored car in the square. I don't know what the fuck that is. My dumb American brain's kicking in. But even that would not surprise me right now. After standing alone for a while, I headed into the camp. A mere 50 meters ahead, a small one-story house popped up on the left side. The sign near the door said clubs. I was about to come closer when the door suddenly opened, and a short girl wearing a pioneer uniform came out. Her pretty face gave me the impression of one suffering for the fate of the whole man. Okay. I think this is where we're getting into some weird translation. Her pretty face gave me the impression of one suffering for the fate of the whole of mankind with a truly universal sorrow. As soon as she saw me, the girl froze as if frightened. I froze too, considering what was the best to do. To approach first or wait until she showed some initiative. Or maybe run away after all. Although this last option was constantly being suggested only by my self-preservation instinct. Although this last option was Although this last option was constantly being suggested only by my self-preservation instincts. At least that's what I'd like to believe. Not the worst human instincts, but far from the most logical. If this instinct played poker against deductive abilities, the outcome would be predetermined. And those deductive abilities, or at least their semblance, were hinting to me that there was no need to be afraid of this girl. Suddenly, somebody jumped out of a nearby bush. A girl wearing a bright red t-shirt with USSR written on it. That does not say, that says CCCP. I was trying to think of an alliteration, I couldn't think of it. What the fuck is this music? Da 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 da! Da 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 da! Da 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 da! Da 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 da! Alright. Such a perfect reproduction of the age. She looked quite short from a distance and was probably younger than both pioneer girls. The one at the gates and the girl and this girl at the door of the club. My brain is breaking. Why? Jesus. What am I like? God, with the face that the both reactions that they've had. God, my dude must look like a fucking Chad. Fucking Chad Chaddington's just fucking rolling in. At last, I decided to come closer, but the USSR, as I called her in my mind, jumped towards the first girl and started telling her something while widely waving her arms. The other girl in turn seemed confused and lowered her gaze, remaining silent. I would have probably continued to observe their amusing dialogue, but the USSR suddenly pulled something out of her pocket and started waving it in front of the first girl's face. This something turned out to be a grasshopper. Eh. Yes, that's what I decided the first girl's voice will be. The first girl squealed. She must not be too keen on insects, as she instantly rushed off towards the place where Lenin presumably made his speech about the workers' and peasants' revolution. That is to say, towards the square. The USSR glanced at me, grinned playfully, and dashed after. Not a bad start to the day. I have absolutely no clue where I am, besides that there are some kids here role-playing as pioneers. And as far as I can tell, this place is located thousands of kilometers away from my home. It might even be a different reality. And this was indeed a reality. I mean, everything around me seemed so real. If a little embellished, that I was starting to think the fact my previous life could have been just a dream. And what am I supposed to do now? I don't know. I might be losing my mind once again. I was picking at the cracked paving stones with my shoes and started staring aimlessly at the club's building. Just a few more seconds before I have to come up with some decision. That's when I recalled myself rolling on the grass, weeping. I cringed in disgust. Perhaps it's another instinct. When all energy for whimpering and self-pitying is used up, the body either goes into hibernation or mobilizes its reserves. Mobilizes its reserves. Mine seemed to have chosen the second option, because out of the blue, I found the determination to figure out what was going on. And in order to do that, I had to act like a man, like a human, to maintain the dignity of a representative of my world, my own world. I followed the path to the left, on the right side of which stood small cabins, apparently the homes of the local pioneers. Actually, they looked quite cozy from the outside. Even though I was born in the Soviet Union, I had never been a part of its children's organizations, neither the pioneers nor even the younger October children. I imagined the daily life of a typical pioneer camp a bit differently. Huge barracks with long rows of metal bunks, wake-up calls at 6 o'clock, played by a siren, 1 minute to make your bed, then joining the formation at the drill square. Or wait, could I be confusing it with something else? Suddenly something struck me on the back. I staggered, but remained on my feet, turned around and prepared to fight heroically for my life. But all I found was another girl standing before me. My mouth hung open in surprise. Pick your jaw up off the ground. I'm not good at girl voices, so I don't like. I'm still workshopping the voices, so judge me in the comments, please. I know these voices are going to be all over the place. There's going to be no consistency, and I will be doing some of the same voices for a lot of characters. I closed my mouth. The same Pioneer uniform, but the way she was wearing it looked like, let's say, provocative. What, that she fucking is, what, showing off midriff? Oh yeah, I forgot Russia. Shit, wrong button. Like all the girls I had met before, this one was rather cute, but her overly arrogant expression killed any desire to get to know her better. Main pro tag might have found his first main girl. New here, are you? Fine. See ya. She threw a threatening glance at me and walked past. I waited for the Pioneer girls to turn at the corner. Who knows what else she might have been up to? The most interesting thing was that even this hostile girl seemed completely normal to me. She did not give off the feeling of some deadly danger, except maybe the danger of getting punched in the nose. At last I managed to make it to the square. There was no Lenin on an armored car, although one could easily expect something like that after all this had happened. Instead, however, a monument to a certain comrade towered in the middle of the square. The letters on the pedestal read Genda. Must be some big figure in the party. There were some small benches at the sides. It's quite pleasant here. Where did that girl tell me to go? To the left or to the right? To the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. And why am I going there anyway? All right. I've decided to pretend to be normal. So, to the right. Through a small grove, it came out at a pier. I must have taken a wrong turn. Hey. Hey, wrong way. I turned toward the voice. The first girl stood before me.
Now what did I tell you? Take a left at the square, wasn't it?
She had changed from her Pioneer uniform into a bikini.
Oh, I still haven't introduced myself. My name is Slavia. Actually, my full name is Slavania. But everyone calls me Slavia. So you can too.
Yeah. I still felt a bit confused, so I could not come up with more meaningful answers. And
what's your name?
It felt like she could see right through me. Simone.
Nice to meet you, Simone.
I don't know if it's Simeon or Simone. I'm just going to do Simone. Again, if anyone wants to correct me in the comment section, you can.
Alright. I'm almost done here. Could you wait here a minute? I'm going to change and we'll go to Olga Dmitrievna together, agreed? Agreed.
After this exchange, she ran off. I sat on the pier and let my feet hang into the water. I was wearing heavy winter boots, but in such weather, there was nothing wrong in getting my feet wet. Furthermore, it let me cool myself a little. Looking at the river, I was brainstorming and processing everything that has happened. If this is some kind of conspiracy, it's a weird one. Even too friendly at times. No, it really looks more like a random event. Some entirely incomprehensible random event.
Shall we go?
Slavia was standing beside me, dressed in the Pioneer uniform again. Let's go. I've been here for a very short time, but of all the people I've met,
she looks the least suspicious. However, this fact is already suspicious itself. We walked to the square. The USSR girl and the girl who hit me on the back were there chasing each other. Is that some kind of game they're playing?
Uliana, enough running. I'll tell everything to Orca. Aye aye, Captain.
I decided not to question Slavia for a while about what was going on or the local residents. Better meet with this mysterious Olga first. I'm not gonna keep saying the Dimitrovina because that's just like a fucking like what's it called? It said earlier. It's just for like formality to show respect. Sounds like she's the boss here. We walked past the rows of almost identical cabins, some of which looked like fat beer barrels, while others looked more like household sheds. Finally, Slavia stopped in front of a smallish, one-story cabin. It looked like an artist painting. The faded paint chipping here and there with age was sparkling in the sun. The window shutters, slightly ajar, were swaying almost unnoticeably in the wind, and huge lilac bushes were growing at the sides. It seemed as if this ramshackle hut was drowning in a storm of purple silk, and the lilacs, like some elemental force, were inexorably destroying the troop's leader's house.
What are you standing around for? Let's go.
Slavia snapped me out of my daydreaming.
And with that, we'll end this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed another episode of Everlasting Summer. If you did enjoy this episode, leave a like. And again, thanks for making it to this part of the video. If you're new around here, subscribe to the channel. It's free to do. And go check out another video. With that said, hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.